So we have first covering our housing challenges, achievements, and strength in networking. Okay, housing as social determinant of health. Stable housing is the cornerstone of successful newcomer integration. It's a social determinant of health, education, and economic well-being, and provides the foundation of newcomers to meet their needs of assessment, basic needs, access essential services, and build the community connections, achieve economic self-sufficiency, have sense of belonging, fully participate in Canadian society. And current housing landscape for newcomer and challenges. Affordability crisis. Who is not facing this challenge in any province across Canada? So this is called a nationwide crisis. In Halifax, like many other Canadian cities, we are experiencing significant housing affordability. The low vacancy rate since 2021 until today's date. We were sitting on a 1% vacancy rate in Halifax until this year. It slightly went up, not significantly, but just a little tiny bit. We started to see more supplies available in HRM, Halifax Regional Municipality, not specifically Halifax, but all the suburban. The market rent in HRM, the current market rent in here for one-bedroom apartment, it's $1,900. In a $1,900 in a one-bedroom apartment, we were going to assign these units to single people because you cannot put a family in one bedroom. So this is where the challenges become. Current average rent for one bedroom, two bedroom, and three bedroom, it ranges from $1,800 to $3,000. The $3,000 is the price of a three-bedroom apartment that is currently either a vintage building or it's a newly constructed building. So looking at these numbers, yes, it could be quite challenging at times and scary, but we'll go through the process and we'll tell you how we make it easy in Halifax. So the current housing landscape for newcomers and challenges, we're still going with that. Population growth. Halifax is a growing city. If you're not from here and you're driving around the town, you're going to see lots of cranes. There's cranes on every corner. So developers are investing in Halifax, whether they're local or they're not local. Okay, the current state of supply, which I said, now we do have quite a bit of supply because the developers decided to invest in here. So we're lucky to partnership with them and able to secure units for our clients. Current demand details numbers of application per unit per month. So let's speak about when I was in property management prior to this position. If I had an available apartment, I would probably get one or two application per week, per unit. Right now, the applications per unit, it's probably 50 applicants per day on that unit. So it's people are competing to get, especially if there's an ad on Kijiji, let's say, and the apartment is way low bit below market rent. Of course, the people are competing to put, and they start bidding on rental. In 2021, 2022, people were bidding. You know how they were bidding for houses? They were bidding, I'll give you $100 more, would you rent me that apartment? So we were facing this challenge as well. Yes. And that's called competition with students. Also in September, maybe earlier than September, we'd say in July, August, the students are returning to universities. Then the landlords had they had to decide on whether they will take newcomers or they will take students. Of course, they preferred students over large families. So also this was a big challenge for us, and we did overcome some of them. Okay, affordability and bridging the gap. Limited income. This is one of the main issue and challenge we have, the high rental costs and financial literacy. Availability, scarce housing options, the low vacancy rate, limited affordable housing, and discrimination. Who did not face a discrimination with any landlord? Whether the landlord is from the same community of that newcomer or not, we do face discrimination. Yes. Language and culture barriers to housing access. Language barriers and unfamiliarity with the lease agreements in Tennessee law, culture differences in housing expectation and practices, navigating complex application process. Opportunities and support. Halifax is a fast-growing city with increasing economic opportunities which attract many newcomers, not just our government-assisted refugees. We have many newcomers here, whether they're on working visas or they're here PSR and so on. So the eye is on Halifax, and it's been on Halifax for the last 3 years. So ISANS settlement services. ISANS settlement services provide support, including information and orientation on how to look for housing support with application and advocacy. So what do we mean by that? The settlement services, which is the CSS, after they are exited from the RAP team, this is the service they provide. They do not search for homes for them. They will educate them on how to search for homes. The housing services is only one-time service provided to our government-assisted refugees when they are under the RAP program. So they have us, and we're there to help them, advocate on their behalf, and connect them with landlords, apply for rental applications, and do all the necessary from utility connections and so on. And this is only a one-time service. And they are educated that once they exit and they are under the settlement program, they have to learn to do this on their own, and they will be also provided with education on how to do it. Okay. At ISANS, we had a housing holding deposit. This housing holding deposit program, it helped me at the beginning when I first started with ISANS. When I first started with ISANS, I had a different background from what the actual job description said. And Ahmad, I agree here with you. Sometimes you have to tweak the job description so it can apply to this, to the certain position. So people were betting that, okay, my background is not gonna be, it's not gonna align with the position. So Venka and Vesna, they implemented this new program, which called the housing holding deposit. So what do we mean by that? If I have a landlord that has about 10 vacant units, and I go to the landlord and I say, I need to put all these units on hold, of course, it depends again on the size of the apartment and whatnot. Then the landlord needed some sort of a security. And we didn't have that trust that with a word that I sense we will be renting these apartments. So they created this program, which allowed us to up to $10,000, I believe, to hold these units and pay the deposit upfront to the landlord before we align clients with apartments. Once the clients are aligned with a specific apartment, we had forms that the client agreed to pay back ISANS what we have paid upfront to secure their units. So this program helped a lot. Also helped us to put bulk units on hold, either prior to their arrival or when they first arrive within the first week or so. So the financial support necessary to afford rent payment. So how do we convince the landlord that our client can afford renting an apartment? So the basic monthly income is not enough. So when I send an IMM to a landlord, the landlord this is not enough money. That your client cannot. But when I tell the landlord that our clients will immediately be eligible for $500 top up from IRCC, it changed their mentality a little bit. Then we start also talking about the housing subsidy. We talk about child tax benefit. Back in the days, landlord did not consider child tax benefit as an income. Right now, they do consider that as an income. So those resources plays a big factor in getting the landlord approval on our rental applications. And now I really want to cry if you take this $500 top up away from us. It's going to be a big challenge to have the landlord approving applications, because without it, it will be a big, huge loss. Again, we have community organizations, several community organizations. They are working to address housing challenges and for all low income. And of course, our clients are considered low income. So renters population, including newcomers, United Way, we have YWCA, Metro Nonprofit Housing Association, Affordable Housing Association. This is AHANS. AHANS right now, they became a landlord too. They start building their own properties to allocate those units to low-income tenants, low-income clients. So this is a bonus for our community, and I'm very happy actually to see this come to it's alive, because this been in the talk for the last 10 years, and it's out in the light. And the opportunities and support. I'm not sure if you guys follow the news. This was just recently released by the government initiatives. So we have the largest ever investment in public housing, affordable housing plan for 2025 and 2026. 136 millions for 242 units, in addition to what they previously announced for total 515 units. Again, $30 million for modernizing and repairing existing public housing unit. As we all know, they are in very poor condition right now. So this allocation hopefully will be a great opportunity for all our clients. Okay, RAP housing team successes and miracles. I'm sorry, I'm going fast because I'm running on time here. If I didn't, I'll have a lot to cover. There's a lot in housing that I would love to share with you, but we'll go through the slide, and at the end, you'll ask me any questions you have. So this building here in the picture, as you see, that has the arc-en-ciel, which is the rainbow above it. It was the day that we succeeded and moved in 25 families to that building. This is a newly constructed building, and we secured over 50 units in that building. And that day, we had over 25 families moving to this building. And this picture was toward the end of the day as we were walking away from the building after a rainy day. The rainbow, actually, there's two rainbows, if you can see in the picture. I took that picture and I sent it to Vesna, and I said, even God is watching us. Yes, this was one of the greatest success. So from 2022 to present, we received 2,462 GARs. So this being said, 746 apartment. 746 apartment that we secured for these clients without the rejected apartment. So not just had 746 visit to apartment buildings. I've had so many rejections. I had so many declined on top of that. So just do the math, as you can only imagine. So this achievement, we said, that doesn't include decline and rejection. So the status we have in 2022, GAR clients, 836 clients, 251 apartments. 2023, 937, 281 apartments secured. 2024, 644, 193 apartments secured. 2025, 78. It's actually right now we are at the 93, I would say, in 35 apartments as of today's date. My team is out there moving people. Okay, now we're going to talk about our major success. the major housing success. Again, this was also another newly constructed building. At that time, we had a family of 19 arriving, a family of 19, which is four brothers, if I'm not mistaken, four brothers. Was it Hadayat? Maybe five brothers. So as soon as they landed, they had concerns. And they said, our biggest concern is that you guys gonna displace us. We're not gonna be able to live all under one roof. I said, let me see what I can do, and I'll try my best to keep you guys united. So I jumped and I went to this landlord that I have all respect to, because that was one of the landlords with the word of mouth will hold any unit. I'll tell him that is for ISANS. He will hold it for us with no upfront security deposit. So I walk into the building. I have my colleague Hadayat with me and the family. And the project manager says, there's a PPE. You cannot enter this building. You have to have steel toe boots and you have to have a hard cap on. I said, okay, let me make a phone call. I made a phone call. He got the authorization to let us in. As you can see, my clients are with their sandals. So they stopped the work for half an hour in the building for our safety and our client's safety. They gave us the hat. We went in, and here I'm holding the GAR, and this is a 19 people, family of 19. I secured them 5 apartments in that building right on top of each other so they can all stay in one facility. So this is one of the biggest success, I would say, beside many successes, but this is a big achievement. Yes. They were very happy. And of course, we are blessed by them as well, because we put ourselves in their shoes. We were ourselves newcomers at one point. So we always treat them with love. And they say, you put your mind to it, you can do it. I always say, put your heart to it, you can do it. So landlord engagement, it's very important. So in your province, if there's any event or any conferences that is held by the landlords, here in Halifax, we have the IPONs, the Investment Property Owners of Nova Scotia. They hold this IPON meeting conference once a year. It's very important to attend it, because this is where you will expand your network. This is where you meet all the landlords for your municipality. And also, you will educate them on your services and provide them information on your organization. And this was one of the biggest key, because during that event, I sat with multiple landlords that had a very, very wrong impression and idea about ISANS specifically, or newcomers. So we had to educate them and talk to them about our services that we have expanded. The services that we implemented, like life skills, case management, that we are here to build the bridge with you guys. We're not here to make a one-time sale and go home. We're here to maintain the relationship by providing you these services and to follow up with the clients after they move in. It's a very important key. So a lot of landlords actually gave me the opportunity, like a tryout, like a trial period. Okay, here, we'll give you two apartments or 3 apartments, and we'll see how it goes. From that one landlord to another landlord, it's a word of mouth. Halifax, it's big, but it's small in the same time. And the landlords are somewhat connected. So once we started to provide these services and problem solve with the landlord, the word went out. So now landlords knows about ISANS and the services they provide to their clients. So we built that trust. We took that trust and we ran with it. So, of course, with the support of the managers and supervisors, we were just in place to facilitate and deliver the every problem in case by case to the proper channel. And of course, each channel, like each case manager, each person who's in charge would deal with the situation. Again, case by case. So the needs of assessment and orientation, guys, it's very, very important. So when we do the needs of assessment, we do it within the first week of the arrival of the client. So we have a housing search form, housing search form. And we go through the needs of assessment. So our clients, when they arrive, we give them 4 to 5 days to settle and relax. Then we call them into the office. We're very on top of our housing orientation. We need to educate them enough before the 21 days is up. 3 weeks is not enough time to give and provide this information. So once we provide them with the information and we give them the housing orientation, sometimes I look at the clients and I could see, yes, they're bowing their head, they're agreeing with me, but I don't think anything is sinking in. So it's going in one ear, coming out the other. We usually do not sign the housing search form immediately. We send them home, we tend to bring them back. So when we say several education is when they come back and we do the housing search form, I tend to ask questions regarding the housing orientation that I provided them. If they are able to answer, that means they did understand the orientation. If they didn't, then I just emphasize on certain subject, of course, their law, their right as a tenant, and the tenancy law in Canada, and to better understand what is a lease document. Because majority of countries where you come from, you go pay somebody some money and they give you keys and there's no lease agreement. So they have to understand what's a lease agreement, and they have to understand what the tenancy law, and they have to understand that they are, as a tenant, have right, the landlord have right, and there's a tenancy board as a mediator which work in their favor or the landlord's favor. It depends on the situation. So these keys are very important. That will give the client some sort of a relief and also some sort of assurance as well. And it will help them accept an apartment easier once they have a better understanding of the Tennessee law. And also, we talk about the housing market and the housing crisis. Also, the majority of clients do have friends that lives here, or if they don't, they probably hear through the people who arrived the week before them regarding the housing crisis and the high market rent. This itself become like a shock. They do not understand, like, why you brought me here. This word I probably hear it in every rental application. Why you brought me here and you're not giving me enough money to pay the rent? It's a very difficult question. So here, like, I'm standing. First of all, I didn't bring you. Second, I'm sorry, I'm in the same boat as you because my income is not enough to pay my rent. I can't afford this rent. So we are in the same boat. So you have to relate and make them feel that, they're not the only one on that boat. So explaining to them the housing market rent, especially when they come to you and say, well, how come my brother came here in 2016 and only paying $600? And you're bringing me into the same building and you're charging me $1,600. Of course, yes. So this is also a big challenge. So you have to educate them about the COLA, the cost of living, the inflation. You have to explain all those details thoroughly to them so they can understand. Because this is one of the biggest shock when it comes to rental. Yes, they cannot comprehend the rent prices. Best practices, innovative options to secure units, and reliance on current federal and provincial housing supplements. We talked about the housing deposit, IRCC housing supplement monthly until the end of this March. Hopefully, will continue. And this is the top-up rental support and targeted housing rental supplement. In Nova Scotia, and I've heard from different colleagues in different organizations, you guys do not have this service. In Nova Scotia, the municipality implemented the service to help the low-income residents. However, there's a huge backlog once we apply for housing subsidy. It used to take 2 to 3 months to get approved. or rejected. Majority of our clients get approved because they're considered low income. Right now, we are on 6 months waiting list. There's a huge backlog and shortage of staff. So that's why it's very important, sir, for the $500 top up, if you could advocate on our client's behalf to keep it, because we are going to struggle and face a big challenge. And these clients are going to stay in the reception homes longer by convincing these landlords, yes, they can afford $1,900 rent, sir, but their income is $1,350. How? So it's going to be a big challenge, and it's taken up to 6 months for the applications to be processed. Yes, best practices, housing liaison role. The housing liaison role is very important role. The reason I say that is because we advocate on their behalf. We connect with the landlords, we network with the landlords, we with stakeholders, and our names is on the line. So for example, I am the first point of contact to that landlord when I go and say, I need this unit for my client. It doesn't matter on the lease if it says the next of kin, the case manager or RAP coordinator. They are going to contact the person who brought these people into that apartment, regardless who you give them contact for after they move in. So it's very important to have this person as a mediator between the clients and the landlord. So any problem, any issue with the landlord that comes to the liaison person, and the liaison person will send off the complaint to the proper channel. Of course, that we will follow up with the proper channel and making sure that the problems is being solved. This was a very successful point in key. In-depth here knowledge of the local housing market, including rent costs, vacancy rate, available units, and landlord practices. So we're constantly researching, we're trying to find landlords that they are building, a newly constructed building next to a vintage building, and we do with them comparison. And we also have a lot of landlords now, they're competing. There's a lot of competitors. So we come and I do market survey on regular basis. And then I go to the landlord, well, your competitor is renting me this much for that many units, but I like you. How much can you give me? And I do see there's reduction on rents when you use this approach to the landlord. Or if I'm taking a bulk units instead of one apartment, what is the incentive you can give me? Right now, we are achieving $100 or a $50 discount on the actual rent when we use this strategy. So this is a key that you can use with the landlords, yes. And also we advocate for tenant rights, fair treatment, support clients. We're on top of that. And let me tell you, we've had the building previously, we had 50 units. We did face some challenges in that building, of course, because the amount of people, the complaints from current residents that they are not related to the GAR program, they've complained about our clients. So what we created case conference meeting with these landlords and the tenants in their buildings. So we work closely with the landlords and we called in all the tenants that moved in, and we did case conferences with them. We educated the landlord on our services in that case, and also the tenants, which is our client, they had a better understanding, and also knowing that the landlord is very serious, taking these issues into consideration, that it may also lead into eviction. So we have done several conferences like this with landlords, and this was very successful. And the landlord also appreciate that. So the next building they built, they also reached out to us and they said, if you want more apartments, we're more than happy to give you, because we're so proud of your services. You're always following up on your clients. So these things does matter, and it opens the bridge with either the same landlord or other landlords. So we work with the RAP coordinators and again, complex case coordinators and settlement case managers. In ISANS, under the RAP program, we have a priority list that we go off. The priority list is by the arrival date. So whoever arrives first will get the priority to move out to permanent accommodation. However, with the exception of expected mothers or disability issues, so these will make it to the top of the line. Again, also the available units that I will have on hold. So if an apartment that I have that is suitable for a family that is not on top of the line, I don't want to miss that apartment because within 21 days, I cannot guarantee that I will have a similar unit. So there's a little bit of exceptions that we do in this regard. All right, the power of networking. So networking leads to success. So business cards on you everywhere you go. You introduce yourself. You walk into a building that is newly, well, whether it's a newly or it's an old building, you walk into an apartment office, you represent yourself, you present yourself, you give your card, and you talk about the services. This is type of a marketing because this position requires marketing because not a lot of people are aware of our services. So building trust with the landlord through repetition and reliability. This is the practice that I spoke about earlier. Rapid response of problem solving, securing more housing opportunities. So when we solve the problem with a timely manner in fashion, then they will come back to us and they'll say, okay. So this is very, very, very important. Collaboration with agencies and stakeholders. I have to go faster because I have 5 minutes. Okay, fostering, we're still on the same page, property owners, landlord. Trust our housing services as we serve as their primary point of contact. Again, we are the primary point of contact, regardless what happened with the client, move into CSS, they still come to us, and then we will liaise them with the proper channel. And the prompt responses and effective problem solving are the cornerstone for long-lasting partnership with the landlord. Yes, I think yes. I was going back minutes. Yeah, there's a lot to cover. Trust me, we try to narrow it down into this slide.